What's up, guys? We're Williams, aka TheSwolefessor, here to educate you on health, fitness, social well-being. And today, I want to explain why I feel a lot of you may need to stay away from social media if you're really trying to maximize your fitness. Now, you guys have heard me say time and time again that I think getting motivation from others and being fueled by others is a good thing, but it also takes a certain mentality in order to be able to do that. For example, I'm a power lifter. And I am very much motivated by seeing other powerlifters get after it, even if they're way stronger than me. When I see someone who's stronger than me, I don't see that and suddenly feel bad about myself. I am motivated to keep working to become the best version of myself that I can be. And it's a little bit different too, because powerlifting is a competitive endeavor. As I've explained to you guys before, there's a huge difference between training for just general strength and health, training to be fit versus training to be a competitive powerlifter or a competitive bodybuilder, especially since both of those, when taken to the extreme, honestly go beyond the point of being healthy, right? Like, we already know when it comes to bodybuilding, especially like, if you're a natural lifter, when you get below a certain body fat percentage, you're going to crash your hormones. It's just not good for you, right? Excluding a few genetic outliers where they can be sub 10% and still be kind of good. When you get down to like stage weight, that's simply not healthy. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with training to look better, because that's just a part of it, right? As you train for performance, as you get stronger, as you get bigger, that for most people most people think you tend to look better. So there's a difference between training for hypertrophy and then training for bodybuilding. And at the same time, there's a difference between steadily trying to get stronger, because that's a part of it, right? Like if you're training for fitness, then part of that is getting stronger, getting faster, more athletic as a whole, all of that, versus you are just repetitively trying to train to get strong at just the bench, squat, and deadlift for powerlifting. When it comes to general strength training and general fitness, even though squat, bench, and deadlift are three movements that I think are very important for that, there's other movements outside of it. Get strong on overhead press, get strong on pull-ups. You're going to be a more well-rounded lifter as a whole, basically, rather than just putting all your efforts into just getting stronger on the big three. You're going to do things like your bench press. You're going to work on making sure you're training that through a proper full range of motion. You're not going to be focusing on doing everything you can to shorten your range of motion just to move the most possible weight, because you're trying to actually get strong, which is going to include actually properly working the muscles through a longer range of motion, right? So with all that being said, the reason that I say a lot of you need to get away from social media is because for the vast majority of you, you aren't a bodybuilder, and you're not necessarily training to be a bodybuilder. And a lot of you aren't even powerlifters, and you're not necessarily training, or even if you're not training to be like the most competitive powerlifter, you just like strength training, you like getting stronger. And the reason I say some of you need to get away from social media, or at the very least be careful of who you're following, is because a lot of you are starting to confuse these things. You guys are starting to associate bodybuilding and high-level competitive powerlifting with just fitness, and it's not the same thing. And I'm a powerlifter explaining this to you, because at the end of the day, this channel is about health, fitness, and social well-being. And yes, I'm a powerlifter. I show you guys my training, so you can see that I practice what I preach and stuff like that. But even my own powerlifting training could be taken to a much larger extreme. You know what I mean? The way I train as a whole is very healthy, with proper mobility work, accessories, etc. I don't deal with a whole bunch of aches, pains, hurts, things like that. I don't. I'm fortunate enough to not deal with that, and I try to do that with my clients too. Have them maximize what they can do in a sense of powerlifting without just wrecking their bodies into the ground, right? But at the end of the day, so many of you are getting so caught up on what bodybuilders look like, or even if they're not bodybuilders, just what a lot of these Instagram models look like, to where you no longer are valuing what you have, in the sense of, let's say you lost 100 pounds, 50, 30 pounds, whatever it may be. Instead of being happy with that and being happy that you're constantly progressing and improving on yourself, you have now made this idea of people looking a certain way like the new standard for yourself, and you drive yourself into the ground doing things and going to the point where you're not even being healthy anymore to try to reach that. This constant extremes of cutting, bulking, when we know that's not good. We know that gradual body recomposition over time is going to be best for your overall health. Mind you, if you're extremely overweight or obese, yes, you need to lose as much weight as quickly as what you can. But once you're past that phase, you get to a point where you don't need to be going through these extremes of cutting, bulking. And then the same thing even when it comes to powerlifting. A lot of you are seeing these top level lifters, not understanding that so much of where they're at is even based upon their training, it's based upon their genetics, their leverages, etc. And you feel like if you're not squatting 500-600 pounds, if you're not deadlifting 600-700 pounds, if you're not benching 350 plus, then you're not good enough, and you start pushing it and doing all these things and program hopping and pushing your body to limits that really just isn't sustainable for you, especially if you're somebody where you have a job, a normal 9 to 5 job, you have a family, you have things you have to do where you're not even in a position to be training as optimally as a lot of these people where they make their money from YouTube or from coaching, where they have more freedom to manipulate their training how they want. And that's just a very, very dangerous place to be, because you guys have to remember what fitness is really about. It's about being healthier. Yeah, you want to get stronger. You want to get more athletic. You want to be able to, run for longer, things like that. You want to make sure that your diet's on point. And yeah, there's all these different fads, and that's another thing. All these different diet fads, like you can do it if it fits your macros. You can do the keto diet. You can do the paleo diet. You can be vegan. This, that. When it's and then there's so much just arguing and back and forth nonsense, because you guys put yourselves in these camps like, well, I'm for this diet, or I'm for this diet, or I'm for this training split, or that training split. And mind you, I've on my own channel put like, hey, like for example, higher frequency programming, whether it's full body, upper, lower, is more optimal than a bro split, just because that's factually true. That's objectively correct. But I always tell you guys, hey, at the end of the day, train the way you enjoy, because that's better than not training at all, right? And that's kind of what I want to get at. It's like, regardless of all these different diets, it's one thing when a diet is so extreme and has been proven to be unhealthy, and you just have people trying to push and promote it just to make money. But for the most part, man, if you are involved in this health and fitness industry, this lifestyle, you're healthier than the vast majority of people. And instead of it being about a lot of us trying to unite together and try to work on getting people to be more active, just make better eating choices, it's too much war going on in the fitness industry itself, because I'm for this camp and you're for that camp. And it's just ridiculous. And I've even told you guys the nonsense of how it used to be the nonsense of the bro scientists, and now so much of this is the nonsense of the evidence-based community, which, mind you, I'm very big on science, research, evidence-based practice. You guys know that. But it's at a point now where anybody can quote any random study to support what they want, and it's science. Anybody can get any degree or put the word doctor in front of their name, and they're credible, instead of actually evaluating the information, realizing that info is made valid by the information itself, not who it comes from, or not how jacked the person, it's all just appeal to authorities, right? And it's equally stupid. Whether your appeal to authority is, oh, well, this guy's a doctor and he says to do this, or your appeal to authority is, well, this guy can bench 400 pounds, he says to do this, you have to evaluate the information and see about how practical and applicable it is to you. And the reality is, unfortunately, a lot of you are just not at a point where you're able to do that. I think you eventually do need to get to that point, because I feel like social media, the internet, all that is such a great resource for information and for getting fuel and motivation for different people. But some of you aren't at the mentality to do that. It's information overload. It's social media overload. You're seeing all these different things where you have gotten away from why hopefully a lot of you even got into this, which is just to be healthier. And now, instead of training and eating properly, instead of that being something that's helping your life be better, expanding upon your life, so many of you are sitting here stressing over every little detail of what you do. Some of you stress over every little detail more than me. Me, who's a powerlifter, where I need to be on top of different variables like my sleep, my eating, my load management, my mobility, all that. Some of you stress out more than me, and I can tell by the questions that I get from you guys on the daily, especially on Instagram, the questions you guys are asking me. You overthink every little thing, because you see all this different stuff, and so many of you need to kind of just step away from it. Maybe follow a few basic channels. Hopefully I'm one of them. Shameless plug, hopefully I'm one of them, but maybe follow a few basic channels or a few basic pages where they're just giving out good general information for getting stronger and being healthier. And you kind of need to leave it at that, because it's just gotten to a point, man, where people are so, especially us, and it really is like it's twofold. I tell you guys all the time that a lot of it, yes, is on us as content creators, because so many of us unfortunately just put out whatever BS we can to make money, because that's what we care about. We don't care about what you're dealing with emotionally. We don't care about what your background is. We just want to push a certain idea or agenda and make money off of that. And we don't care who gets hurt or who gets affected by it. But a lot of it is unfortunately due to the consumers. A lot of people who grow and a lot of people who spread this BS, who have such big names, they have it because you guys keep feeding into it instead of doing your due diligence and just do some basic research for yourself. And I'm not saying you have to be so researched to the point that I'm at or anyone else is at, because maybe kinesiology isn't your major, or maybe you just want to get a little bit stronger and healthier. But it's for that reason that you need to understand, like I said, just the bare basics of things like strength training, progressive overload, calories in versus calories out, nutrition. Understand these basics so that way you don't get so led astray and pulled all these different directions, because that's what's happening, man. And it's also why I want to make this video, because granted, I'm in the middle of prep for Raw Nationals. I'm 6 weeks out, as you guys know if you've been keeping up with the channel. So a lot of my content right now is focused on my training, my powerlifting training, but I want to just emphasize that this channel is still, first and foremost, also going to be about health, fitness, social well-being. That's why even in my powerlifting videos, I still try to make sure I do voiceovers covering other informative topics outside of powerlifting, or covering social well-being topics, because I don't want to fall into the trap of being under one label, because that's what so many YouTubers have done. I'm not going to call out names, but so many YouTubers have associated themselves with like, oh, you're this diet guy, or you're that training guy. You know what I mean? Like, where it's like, oh, you're just the full body guy, or you're just the keto guy, whatever it may be. And because that kind of gives them a boost of following of the people who like that specific thing, they get so attached to it to where they can no longer break away from it. And because of that, they are forced to just be repetitive when making their content about that over and over and over and over. And the danger of that is you get to a point where you start pushing that stuff even when you shouldn't. You start pushing keto to everybody and be like, oh, it's absolutely the best no matter what. You start promoting a certain style of training for everybody and saying it's the best no matter what. Like, you don't give any exceptions, any outliers. It's like, no, this is what you need to do because that's what you've associated yourself with. And because you've associated yourself with that so much, that's all you're going to push. It's no longer about fitness as a whole. It's just about one specific aspect of it. And that's what you guys have to understand. Fitness and health and social media, it's all encompassing. When you get so focused on just one aspect of it, you're defeating the whole purpose, and that in and of itself becomes unhealthy. So I know this has kind of been all over the place and kind of ranting, but I needed to get this out here because I just keep seeing more and more of it. And I keep talking about it. I've been talking about it, like, with some of my friends who watch my channel, support me, and it just occurred to me, I'm like, man, I need to just make a video on this, like, kind of get back to what I usually do anyway, which is just get in front of the camera, press record, and just talk about whatever topic I want. And yeah, I just want to encourage you guys to just remember what your health and fitness is really all about. Be honest with yourself. Evaluate if you're at a point where you can take in all this information and properly go through it and separate the BS from what's valid. And if you're not, maybe just take a step back from a lot of it and get back to the bare basics. That's kind of just the main point of what I want to get at. Hopefully you guys got something from this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you did. If you're not, leave a comment down below. Let me know what I can do to get better. Like the video, share, subscribe. Keep it simple, specific, scientific. I'll catch you guys later.